The goal of vulnerability is not to be awkward with each other. The goal is to be powerfully connected with each other. Vulnerability helps to make that happen. I recall a time in my life where I was just struggling as a man. And I was in the garage listening to a podcast while I worked on a woodworking project. And the podcaster said, "Your life moves in the direction of your strongest thoughts." And I thought to myself, I know my strongest thoughts. It was one word: guilt. My whole life, it's like I carried this guilt bag around. Everywhere I went, every day, I would find reasons to pick up a rock and put it back in my guilt bag and carry it with me. Any way that I underachieved, any way that I fell short, any mistake that I made, any time I did the wrong thing, it was guilt, 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 guilt. And I thought about that while I listened to that podcast. Later that night, and this was just probably 7 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, I wanted to tell my wife that story. And we laid in bed, and I waited till the lights were out, and I turned my face away from her. Even though the lights were out, it was just hard for me to say this. And I told her what I just told you. She came to me. She got out of bed and she came around to my side, and she knelt down and she just looked at me. I don't remember the exact words she said, but I recall how it made me feel. She didn't look at me and say, "Why do you really feel guilty? What have you done? Who's the other woman? What did you watch?" No, she didn't do that. She loved me. It made her believe in me more. It made her trust me more. It made her feel more connected to me. Now, I think what happens in a lot of marriages is when a man opens up, his wife goes into attack mode, or it's not called attack mode. It's more so control mode. She would call it "I'm helping you" mode by controlling you. But let me tell you what I think the difference is. It's hard to know how to be vulnerable. I want to give a simple mental picture in your mind. Let's say you have a yard, and in that yard there's weeds growing out of it. Now, I'm not an expert in grass and weeds, but I've heard that what's in the soil produces what comes out of it. So let's say that you have weeds growing out of the yard. What's the bigger problem? The weeds or the ground that is producing the weeds? Well, I think pretty clearly it's what's in the soil that's actually the bigger problem, although the weeds are the manifestation of the problem. Here's what I oftentimes tell men. It feels like the weeds are the problem. Like, let's say I've been going through the motions in life. I just feel like life is just sucking me into this monotonous experience where I'm just existing, and it's exhausting me. And so I start going to the casino, or I start drinking 2 or 3 bottles a night when it used to be just one can on the weekend. Bottle's probably too big of a word. I should have said can, probably. I know a little bit about alcohol. But that seems like the thing that you should admit to your wife. It feels like you should say, "Honey, I need to tell you something. I've been drinking too much." It feels like that's what you should say. Of course, wives aren't really equipped to help us to drink less. Wives aren't really equipped to help us stop a gambling problem. Don't get me wrong, these are actually problems, but once again, what's the bigger problem? The weed or the soil underground that's producing the weed? Here's what I recommend to men. The weed, which is gambling or drinking or overeating or the shopping or gaming or isolating, something you're watching on screens, like, that's the stuff a man must admit to a friend or mentor. He's got to be able to tell someone, "Hey, I've been struggling, and because of that, I've been going to the casino at lunchtime." But with his wife, He needs to share the soil of his heart. He needs to tell his wife, he needs to say, darling, work has just been kicking my butt for months. Every day I go in and I'm getting my butt kicked. And I feel like I'm just a punching bag when I go into work. I feel like life is just a constant chore where I'm just supposed to just like do chore after chore after chore, and my heart just feels depleted. That's what a man can share with his wife. A wife is much more equipped to help a man with his heart than she is to help a man with his habits. So once again, the weeds are the habits, the dirt or the soil is the heart. Men need to share the heart with their wife, their habits with a friend. A friend is much more capable of understanding why a man is struggling with something like gambling or something he's watching on screens. A man is much more equipped to bring some kind of accountability with understanding to that area, where wives, they're not equipped to carry that baggage. So this isn't about being dishonest with your wife. It's not about hiding things from your wife. Because once again, I'll make this point. What's the bigger problem? The weed or the soil that's causing the weed? Oftentimes, here's the big mistake that's made. A wife will find out that her husband's gambling because he's been hiding that from everyone, or find out he's been having inappropriate messaging on social media with someone. There's some habit that he's forming that's not healthy. And as soon as the wife finds out about that, because she hasn't been connected to his heart and what's going on in his life, the weed or the habit gets all of the attention. And now our life and our entire relationship is focused on the weed. The wife begins to wake up every day and look at her husband thinking, is he gonna gamble today? Is he gonna drink too much today? Should I check in on him? At lunchtime, should I check in on my phone and see where he's at? Does she begin to ask her husband daily, hey, how are you doing with X, Y, or Z? Hey, do you still have that problem? And now the husband has another problem, and that is that along with his life that was already kicking him in the butt, now he has a wife that's kind of become his probation officer. And nobody wants that. No husband wants his wife checking in on him. So when the habit, the problem, the weed, when it gets the focus in the relationship begins to diminish. And then the husband can become a person where he begins to focus on the weed. Well, I have to stop this behavior. I just got to stop this behavior. I got to stop this behavior. And in the meantime, he has a much bigger issue in his heart of a life that, once again, he feels like life is kicking his butt. He's just existing. He feels like he's dwindling away, and he's not sure why. It doesn't help for that man to ignore his heart and make his goal to be, well, I just need to stop drinking. I need to stop drinking. Well, maybe what he really needs is to begin to live a life where he doesn't need to drink so much. I hope this is making sense. It's really important to be vulnerable with your wife. But being vulnerable doesn't mean that you tell her everything. You tell her the things that is most helpful for her to know. The stuff of the heart is a much bigger deal than the habits. Obviously, habits can be very destructive, and at some point, they do need to get brought out, or if they're not dealt with. But the heart is where a wife can help. Habits is where we need our friends to help. I hope this content's been helpful to you. If it has, please like and subscribe. I do need help growing this channel. My goal is to put out the best of what I've got to help people live life on purpose. I want people to live out the legacy of their life. There's three big words that matter to me every single day: purpose, freedom, and love. And those are the three main categories of thought that I love to talk to people about. I believe everyone has a purpose, and everyone needs the freedom to live it out, and everyone needs to have people that they love in their life for that entire journey. And that's what I want to help people with. So if this content is helpful to you, if you comment and subscribe and follow along, that helps the channel to grow, and then I get to put out more content to help people. Thank you for watching.